Welcome, welcome, welcome to Chart Monkeys, the official CyberKong's weekly show. You're watching us live over at twitch.tv/chartmonkeys, over on YouTube, same place, and on the CyberKong's account over on X. Henry, what's up, dude? This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, Cab's coming. He thought it was on Spaces, then he thought it was in Discord, and he's on his way right now.
My man. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to this, dude. The Claynosaurz. I mean, dude, everybody who's watching is pretty damn plugged in, so you know the stories of the past couple weeks with Claynosaurz, but putting out some big ass updates. This is my first time chatting with any of those guys on the team on, any of like our streams, my stream, anything. So, dude, pumped to talk to them and pick their brain and get their dude, I just want to hear from them. What's this journey been like for, years now at this point for them? So,
I didn't know you've not talked to Cab before. Super cool dude, man. Like really, really cool guy. So I'm excited to get him here today too.
Yeah. Oh, well, I see him down below. Cab, give a thumbs up whenever you're ready to come up. Let's see if Cab's ready. Oh, he's ready. The man's ready. Okay. And I'm gonna have to play with the screens for a second. So hang on. Are we good? We're almost good. Did we get it?
Yeah. You got it.
Can I fix that tag? It's gonna bug me. Hang on.
Yeah. Oh, it's right out here. I'll just go like that.
Hang on. No. I got it. I think we're good now.
We're good.
That's how we do things around here.
Oh, I love this. A multi-tabber. I have like fucking 60 tabs open at any given point. Then I get choice anxiety, and then I'll have a tab that's there for like 20 months that I never want to get rid of.
Oh man. Cab, I think we're probably a lot similar with the red beard. This is actually
like beards-ish and is bald, I think. I can't tell if you're bald.
What the fuck is Cab?
That's the meta. That's the meta. It worked for Mert. It's working for us.
Where did you live in the early 80s? Is there a chance we're related? You and Huda look like you got the same mom and dad.
It's so fucking funny. I was in the late 80s. I was where was I? Like a place close to Hudson, outside in the outskirts and farmlands close to Montreal.
Okay, when he said Hudson, and I was starting to think New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Oh, please tell me it's that. Oh,
okay, dude. That could have got real fucking weird, by the way. Really weird. What's up, Cab? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, dude. It's the first time I actually put a visual to the PFP. It's fucking awesome to meet you. I feel like for the first time ever now.
Likewise, bro. Yeah, I'm not a purple pixelated gorilla with an eye patch. I know. Go figure.
Dude, it's so funny because Andrew was talking to me the other day, my Andrew, and he was like, man, I got to talk to Henry because I'm sure his story is wild, like what happened with the SEC and stuff like that. He definitely wants to get on a call with you and riff because he loves those kinds of convos.
Yeah. Especially with everything you guys got going on. And of course, there's stuff you guys probably had to wiggle through as you guys are doing what you're doing. So I can only imagine how much work that is.
Dude, it's kind of so I think on one end it's good. On the other end, it kind of sucks to not be able to sort of degen and explore sometimes. But the way we had always planned to do this is we got to be so above board, because if ever we're going to make deals with the Disneys or whatever, they're going to check the history of everything we've ever done and stuff like that. It's just part of it when you're working with corporate. And so part of okay, we got to make sure we're very careful if we operate in a gray zone or stuff like that. It has always been, I think, something that's made us kind of avoid over-indexing degeneracy, which could have been fun sometimes, but we're here today, so it's sick. It's fine.
Yeah,
dude, it feels like you found a really, really good balance, because when I see you on the timeline, you still speak our lingo. You still speak degen, and I can tell you are one, right?
I collect, dude. I was collecting. I was in the space about a year and a half before we started Claynosaurz. I actually started with a one-on-one space because I'm an artist, I guess, or used to be, not really anymore. But a lot of friends were diving into the Solana ecosystem. I had the first ETH NFT I bought, I can't remember. It was probably it was either a Mori or it was a Dead Friends. I can't remember. But really quickly, I was in the Solana community because the one-on-one space was amazing there. The tech was pretty cool. and then got really familiar with like other communities like Monkey DAO and the Boogles, which were almost like startup sub DAOs, and everything was interconnected. There was so much cross pollination of communities. So I dabbled, I degened, and I thought that, you know what, there's no fucking difference between aside from the money or the financial layer, there's no difference between this and World of Warcraft. Like, to me, Twitter was the same shit. It was the want to sell channel. It was the looking for group channel. It was all this stuff. And Twitter felt like a metaverse where it's like, it's so fucking normal to meet people online and then meet them IRL. If you're in the gaming space, you know the power of that. And so, yeah, we're all a little bit degen on the team. It's just that we wanted to make sure that Claynosaurz was approached in a way that we were building like foundations for other opportunities down the line. But yeah, I speak a little. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit boomer, but you know, I speak from the heart and I try to speak the lingo. But
that's the best way to do it. And luckily, this is a pretty boomer audience, like a little
Let's
more
go,
boomer,
yes.
I think. So it's perfect. But dude, okay, you tweeted this morning.
Yeah,
man, I have such fucking FOMO right now, and it's not like, you know, like everybody like says FOMO, everybody says community, and it's just a thing we say. But dude, no, I've got that real FOMO where I'm nauseous and I'm mad at myself because I wasn't in time, right? Like real FOMO. This is beautiful,
dude. There's always time. Look, the promise I can make is we're building for as long as we possibly can. The other promise I can make is that the way we build our collectibles is we do everything we can, and we've recently put rails in place to make that a reality. But when we make these collectibles, we ask ourselves, like, are we doing something we feel heads towards a place where we're protecting the value of these things in the next 30 years, right? Like, just as collectibles. The FOMO, I mean, I'm feeling it too. I'm trying to hold back because I don't want to over-index hype, because I don't want people to come in, pump the shit out of this, and then dump it the next day. I want people to come in for the right reasons. But I think that people, or at least we've earned the position in the space where people understand that if you come in, there's other things to look forward to in the next couple of months. Like, we're constantly building shit, and our whole mandate is to make this the best brand and the biggest brand we can. So that's what we'll do, and you're with us or you're not, and that's cool.
We'll need to be with you guys, dude. Okay, the past 2-ish weeks, especially, you guys have been on this blitz. You have the NFTs equaling equity, which is beautiful, and we have to dive into that. We've got the token talk. You've got these new collectible packs for sale. And then yesterday, the huge announcement, Claynosaurz on Amazon Prime Video, and then also Apple TV, I think I saw, which is incredible, like incredible. The whole space celebrating. It's something people have you can feel everybody's itching for a win like that. Somebody that represents the space doing a thing we've been dreaming about for years, and you guys are delivering. Huge. Chat, like, let them know how cool you think it is, because I know what you think, because it's exactly what I think. But like, honestly, for me, that stuff's amazing. This is giving me the chance to understand you and the team more, and like your ethos. And again, like the degen part that's still actually there, which has been awesome. But like, again, learning your story has been really, really cool. Like, I didn't know you launched right after FTX. I didn't know that. I saw maybe a Jakey tweet this morning.
You know, I saw Jakey tweet that and people react, and I realized, fuck, we need to be better at constantly at repeating and being very vocal about our come up in our history, because that first year was so difficult. Basically, we minted 2 weeks after FTX. We were pretty hyped leading up to it. Like, I remember Breakpoint was one of the most amazing experiences. We dropped, that's where we first dropped the Dactyls. They were basically a POAP. Eventually they became the Dactyls. But like, leading up to FTX, we were like, oh my God, this collection, this is different. These are so dope. No one had seen like 3D NFTs like this, where every different asset is animated in a different way, and there's different species, all this kind of shit, right, that we pioneered. And we had all that going for ourselves, and people understood the mission. And then FTX happens, and everything, the whole market is in shambles, everything crashes. And we go from being like, maybe we have a fighting chance, like maybe we can pull this off, to holy fuck. So it was like 2 weeks of war room sessions, of talking to like literally the best in class at like Web3 advisors and things like that. Not like the KOLs people used to pay, like actually people that had done the work for a long time and that wanted this thing to succeed. And then the decision was, we got to pull the trigger. Like, we're here for the long term. I think we know our product's going to be really good. Let's just fucking do it. And so we minted, we broke records. It was like about 1.3 million at the time, but then the day after, Solana crashed like 50%. So the whole treasury goes 50%. And we have to take money out because we've been working on this for a year, and there's people that need to be paid for this and all that kind of shit. And I remember this is 4 years ago, guys. Back in the day, you take money out of the treasury during a mint, people think you're about to rug, right? And we're like, guys, like, we're not rugging. We just need to pay certain people that were involved in building this fucking mint. And I really think that first year was tough because FTX happened, treasury got cut in half. We figured our shit out. We were building the foundations of what a company would become. We were figuring our shit out. We were dealing with learning how to manage community in Web3. We also did events. It was like some of the like hottest events out there. And it was a lot of soul searching. We also didn't have royalties locked, by the way. And we were seeing ETH projects mint for like fucking $40 million. And here we were with our 1 million trying to make this thing a reality. And we were just smart. I think there was a lot of people on the team that were very grounded. Everyone had equity. So we were all very aligned in, okay, this is our baby. We have to do everything we can to protect it. We have to understand the space better and do what's right for holders, but also stick to our guns and do what's right for the brand. Otherwise it's not going to survive. And I think it made us really level-headed, really strong, because you're on the pressure cooker all the time. Anyone that's building Web3 knows that's true. And we just constantly figured shit out. And I'm actually really thankful that it was difficult in the beginning because we were anything but complacent. Like every day we're like, how do we make this thing the best it possibly can be? And at any point in time, like nothing ever feels safe, which is actually a really good place to be as a builder. Maybe on the maybe for the psyche, it's not that great, or for the morale, but the fact that you're always on defense mode keeps you sharp.
Did the smarts that you guys had to like navigate that back then, did that come from previous experience, just like being confident in your plan and your business, or was some of that just like having the crypto experience and knowing how to navigate that?
We had a few people that were really good at crypto, and we had a few people that were really good at managing teams. And we had Andrew, our CEO, who's a phenomenal leader and brings out the right skills in everybody, and is very forward thinking and has a long-term ethos. There was a ton of trust in the team. By the way, it's basically been the same team for 4 years.
That's awesome.
Which says a lot, I think, considering what the market looks like and how many CTOs have happened and all that kind of stuff. But everyone has everyone's back. Everyone is an absolute warrior and wears multiple hats as best they can. And I think we trust each other's expertises, and when there's not a specific expert, then we work through this shit, or we get advisors or whatever. And so I think it was a mix of everything, but I would say the biggest piece of the puzzle for our success is internal alignment, making sure that even though people weren't going to be paid in the beginning, or the salaries weren't going to be high, that you feel like you have ownership in the company, which is where I think the spark came from for what we just pulled off. Like, how do we scale that? And the fact that everyone's a fucking Navy SEAL. Everyone laughs at us when we say this, but dude, the people we have in-house are absolute killers and want to see this thing succeed. Wear multiple hats, and everyone's passed the airplane test. So the airport test is when we interview someone, it takes a long time for us to hire anyone because we got to be careful, we're a startup. But when we interview someone, we interview them multiple times, and we sort of stress test the personality, and you have to pass the airport test, which is, do you feel like people have to get along in such a high pressure environment. So once you've interviewed that person, do you feel like if you're both at the airport and you're traveling for business or whatever, if the airplane gets delayed a couple hours, are you stoked about it? Like, okay, we're going to go grab beers and talk about the business and whatever. And if someone passes that test, that's all we need to know, right? You can figure out expertise, people can grow their skill set and all that kind of stuff. Synergy is something that's extremely hard to come by.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch the screen real quick, and I might lose you, but we'll pop you right back on. Boom. All right. All right. Just so we have some options here. Okay. Dude, I have so many questions and so many things that we just have to like you're doing such amazing shit here. Hang on. It's not the right view. There we go. There we go. So this was it. This was the big thing yesterday, and everybody's just freaking psyched for it. And of course, I run right to Amazon and I watch all three, and I've seen them already on YouTube. Like I've seen them multiple times. I think they're fantastic. But how different is it seeing it on a platform like that? Even for you, what is that like seeing it on that platform? And then how the fuck do you make that happen? How long does that take?
Looking for the mute button, Boomer. How long does this shit take? This one was about, and it's probably good for degens to know about this. This is probably 7 months of talking with. It's a big corporation, and in some cases, other platforms have been way longer than that. Amazon's been really good, but there are so many rules of engagement in something like that, and it's 7 months because originally they were like, we could test what you guys are doing on Instagram. That could be something. They also knew we were working on a series, and they knew we were working on those micropilots, which is wild because it says a lot about where the entertainment industry is headed because they're all fucked. But basically they were like, you know what? And they had visibility. So we were showing them updates and stuff. They're like, okay, these shorts slap. We obviously want to work you guys in some shape or form. Let's start with these shorts. We know what you guys are doing for Watch and Collect as well, and that could be really interesting. So let's experiment. It doesn't have to be a pilot, and it doesn't have to be 52 episodes. You guys have an audience, and you obviously have fans that follow you where you go. So let's give this a shot. And that's basically what snowballed into them listing those shorts and the beginnings of what I hope will be an awesome relationship with Prime Video. And we're having those conversations with other streaming platforms. This whole thing I said about the industry is, dude, it's way easier to make content today. I mean, AI is coming in, obviously, but it just in general, the barriers of entry are like zero, and the barriers of entry for distribution is zero. Hollywood has no chokehold or monopoly on content anymore. They can't make it the way they used to. They're in a state of panic right now, and they're in a situation where they're like, how do I exist when a kid that's 9 years old is posting some shit online and outperforming Netflix, or you've got these people that come out, look at you guys or Jakey or all these creators that can get hundreds, or Ansem that can get hundreds of thousands of followers and have them travel from one place to another. Hollywood's not equipped for that yet, and they're kind of like, shit, how do we capture the creator economy? So they're starting to want to work and think outside the box with creators, and they're understanding that exclusive distribution deals are probably not where the future is going. Experiences matter. If you can tie in product, which is almost why like we're testing a little bit this whole watch and collecting, but if you can tie in experiences then with a specific partner or something like that, like I think that'll be the moat in the future. But the biggest moat is community. Like it has to be. Like the whole market is going to get oversaturated. How does anyone pick who they want to follow around or fight for or whatever? You have to feel like you've been helping to build this thing, and that's again where this whole equity thing is coming from. But Web3's been really good at this shit. Like Web3, I don't think people really realize it. Maybe some thought leaders have talked about it, but the whole ethos and the counterculture element of Web3 has been so far ahead of the curve in terms of where we all think the creator economy is going and how communities should be participating when they discover and help creators and are part of that story. It just hasn't been synthesized in a way that makes sense to Web 2 yet, right? But I definitely think Web 3 is so far ahead.
Are they looking to you for a new way to do this? Because right, like the dream early on of NFTs was to be, probably you guys in particular, disrupt the entertainment industry, right? Because it was right for that, because things were inefficient there, right? All these things. And I don't know if they're equipped to pull it off, or I saw a comment of yours on a tweet saying some of them, maybe it was even at Disney, and they're like, well, we know we need to be doing that, but we can't because of our shareholders.
Like, I don't know if I should say this, but it was people at Paramount. and it was like upper executive level, and they were like, this sounds amazing. And some of these, you know, when we were talking about like community driven, or how transmedia can be connected with digital identity of the self and ownership and all these things that obviously when you're talking to someone that's like beyond boomer, it's very tough to explain, but they sort of get it, and they get like what's happening with Fortnite and Roblox for kids. But the answer was, some of what you're saying fuels like what I've been feeling, and what I would love for us to do. I could never convince the other 10 board members or explain it to them. And we need everybody to say yes. And so I just don't. So that puts us in a situation where it's turbo bullish for teams, especially Web3 teams that are starting to like explore this stuff, knowing that the big studios are not equipped to do this, nor do they have to, because they could just be working with teams like us, right? And so I think that's where the unlock is going to be. Is I would love to think that we're starting to open the doors for other Web3 teams, because we are a Web3 team and we do not hide that fact. Like when we talk to them, we don't hide it. When we have, you know, public keynotes or whatever, like we literally tell people we do digital collectibles, and yes, that's NFTs, but hear me out for a second. Here's the why, here's the what, and here's where this all goes. And everyone's like, oh, like that kind of makes sense. Yeah. And so I think it's gonna, I can only hope that, I really believe in rising tides lift all boats, because in order for us to operate in Web3 and this ecosystem at large, you need to make sure that it's a healthy ecosystem. Otherwise, what's the point? And so I would love nothing more than for this to actually be a piece of the dominoes that make everything easier for everyone else that wants to transcend into that market.
Yeah. By the way, Andrew, welcome. Andrew, I hope it was okay. I brought you up. I saw you did.
Yeah. I was like, texting Andrew, and I'm like, at one point we might talk equity, and like, you're the guy, and I think you can fuck with Henry. Like, you do this.
But also, did you say this quote comes from Paramount, Nick?
No. Wait, which one? I'm not even reading this. I've had conversation with. Oh no, sorry. I wasn't even reading this. I've had convos.
Because it wasn't Paramount, that studio that we spoke to.
No. So I didn't realize you were talking about Andrew's quote. For me, it was at Comic-Con, and I spoke to a few people at Paramount and we were having cocktails and all that stuff. And we were talking about everything that we do, because they've heard about Claynosaurz, obviously. But when I was explaining it, they were like, dude, this sounds like the future, but I wouldn't even know where to start. And you hear that shit and you keep hearing it from studios, are like, oh my God, the opportunities are amazing.
Yeah.
Think about the fact that they don't even know how it was possible for Obsession to happen. Everyone was like, what do you mean the creator went straight to the fucking movie theaters and put it up there, and now it's making like $800 million? Like, how is that even possible? I thought we had control over this shit. Hollywood's terrified right now, and it's turbo bullish.
Is this a moment right now for Hollywood? Like, this is the moment where things are being disruptive and they're scrambling in a way?
Yeah.
That's right now, huh? Wow. Huge. Oh, that's so cool.
You know, sorry, for once I feel like I get to just sit back and listen. I don't often I don't get to do that a lot, you know, cruise space and enjoy what I'm listening to. A lot of times just like, Cab, you know, I fucking hate everything. No, I don't actually. No, I don't hate everything. I love this. I love what you guys are doing, because you know my view on IP. I think most of it is bullshit. In fact, I think I could maybe think of 2 or 3 projects that have an actual shot at doing something. I love that you guys just, you know, when you watch a horse race and there's somebody in the back, and then all of a sudden on
you
the
bet
last
on
leg,
Seabiscuit.
Yeah. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, man, baller team, great people. They understand the space. They're kind to the space. They care about the space. And you may not be the loudest. You might not be the shiniest. Do you know what I mean? Like, you may not be the people that are always front and center getting the attention, but you kept doing your shit. And then all of a sudden you've been just executing the thing you've been trying to execute. And I love that. So like, I don't hate IP. I love what I'm hearing from you guys, by the way. I just wanted to jump in real quick to say, like, I'm enjoying listening to the conversation, because it's awesome to hear.
Dude, that means a lot. And we've riffed, you know, in spaces, and I know exactly where you're coming from, because am part of the IP world, and the success rate is close to nothing, right? And which is where a part of the theory of like you need communities to back you. And this whole thing of like, you know, there was a time, and I don't want to grave dance. There was just a time where, you know, something was about to mint, or there was these big projects that just because they were pumping, you have people that have never watched anything on TV or in the theaters or read any comics, never been to Comic-Con, going, this is great IP. I'm like, you don't know that. Like, you know, let's prove it first, and then we can say it's great IP. And that was always our mantra, is like, we can't fucking say it. We can say we're confident in our shit, but at some point, if we don't bring the normies in, we've proven nothing.
Also, Cab, like, to me, what I see a lot of times with people that are going the IP route is they are focused so much on the shit they shouldn't be focused on. You are focused on executing on your IP and doing what you're doing right now. And by the way, like when you guys had launched on YouTube, like I watched it. Like for me to stop what I'm doing and like go watch it, I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch this shit because I like you guys and I wanted to see. And I'm like, no, this thing is like it's a thing. But what most people doing the IP play focus on is supporting their floor, getting the vibes up in group chats on X. I'm like, none of that shit has anything to do with anybody outside of here coming in to take a look at it. All that is floor guarding, worried about your secondary prices. Like, if you're an IP play, go execute on IP. If you want to leverage Web3 for that, amazing. But like, go do what you're doing.
So I think you're right. Where I'm going to just throw in a little bit of a caveat is the way we see managing the community and making sure that there's stuff happening is what we do takes a fucking long time to build. And we're also very collector forward. And there's nothing more powerful than when you go in like you might want to be into Pokemon or One Piece or Magic cards, and you dabble and like you go in like a nerd card shop, and there's like 20 people playing. There's stuff happening, and you're like, you know what? It's not that. Maybe I should get a couple cards because there's gonna be stuff to do. And that's sort of how we think of it internally, of like, at least while you're collecting and while we take the time we need to build our shit, and we are very collectors forward, when you buy the collectibles, like there's stuff happening. And I think that's the really important thing. It's like, it's buying you time, but it's also like curating curating memories over shared experiences. And so if you can foster that, every great IP has done that. Like definitely Pokemon's probably Kings of the Castle. Everyone remembers like opening up Charizards together, but it needed to be pegged to a good TV show and a good video game and that kind of stuff. So we think about that shit a lot, but it's almost like a caveat where it's like yes and a little bit no.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think you know, obviously everything you said, I agree with that. I just think like I'm tired of people talking about IP,
or like selling
talking
air,
about
right?
it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. Execute on it. Don't worry about what this floor price is. Don't worry about this, that. Like, go execute on the IP. To your point, keep the community happy. Having the collectible at the center of it and having your community love it's amazing. But I just like when people just do the thing that they say they're gonna do, and I just love that you guys are the ones that are like, you're doing it. I'm not saying others aren't, but like the front runner right now, 100%. When I went to the founders meeting in Miami, I walked out of there and I said multiple times, and you weren't there, but I'm like,
I was invited, then they canceled. I was traveling actually for some fucking animation conference, but they canceled the live stream, so couldn't make it.
Yeah. So I was like, man, there's nobody close to Pudgies right now. Like they are so far, and on the ETH side, they're so far ahead of the pack when it comes to the IP play. But maybe because you guys weren't there, I just wasn't even thinking Claynosaurz. It wasn't in my mind front and center. Like, no, Claynosaurz is leading the IP charge.
You know what it is, and this is not like in the least bit like throwing shots or grave dancing or whatever, but we don't have the luxury to burn cash to show progress. We just have to make progress. And unfortunately, sometimes that means we, in the past, might not have done the best job marketing ourselves or being loud about shit as we could have. And so sometimes you fall through the cracks, but over time, I think cream rises to the top, and it just starts making sense to people. So I think that's where we're at in the phase.
I love it. I'm so like proud of you guys and happy for you guys. Like legitimately, I'm going to shut up because I want Huda to keep peppering you with questions so I can listen. So yeah.
I got one I got to pepper in for sure, which is, okay, to get to this point with the animations on Prime Video, did NFTs help accelerate in any way, or was the industry, is it still not ready for it, where there were like roadblocks getting there because you're in crypto and NFTs?
So I don't know who shoots first. You go first.
I can go first since you talk so much. It's not often that Nick gives me the microphone, so that's a good indicator. But I think, no, to answer the question, there's no like direct. I don't think that Amazon's sitting there saying like, oh, these guys have a $30 million, $40 million NFT market cap. Like that's not the thought, right? I think what they've seen is really strong content. And then that content has succeeded really well on other social media platforms, or not, I shouldn't say other, because Amazon Prime is not social media, but it's succeeded on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and they've seen that success. That success comes from like a diehard community of fans that's born in Web3, right? Like all success on those platforms is driven by algorithms. It's driven by, you got to get a certain amount of views in the first kind of like hour of posting. It's driven by that kind of algorithmic juicing, if you will. So does our community bring the 1.5 billion views we have on socials? No, we don't have 1.5. But do they bring the seed that starts that ball? Like, are they the ones pushing the ball down that hill? Then absolutely, yeah, like the snowball effect, if you will, right? So that has brought us to the place where Amazon says, oh shit, like this ticks all the boxes, right? Like box tick, look at the quality of this content built by a team who's done it for big studios, feature film, etc. Box tick, tons of great, viewership and engagement on these social media platforms. And then, there's no ticking of a box that says NFT collection or hardcore collectors or even sales for that matter. Like, Amazon doesn't have rights to our sales or anything like that. They're just like, are people going to come and watch this? The NFTs, that community doesn't have a direct like connective tissue to Amazon. But through our success that otherwise wouldn't exist without them, yeah, you absolutely need that community.
Yeah, makes sense.
So there is an extra caveat, because when we have conversations with those guys, and basically every streamer and now like toy company that we speak to, is what's incredible to them is the fact that we do have an ability to have monetization loops or digital product as ancillary products tied to the content. And so everything Andrew said is right, but at the same time, like, oh shit, this is a brand that's actually able to monetize 3 episodes if they need to, or things like that. And it's a really interesting long-term value proposition for them to be working with teams like us.
Dude, that's the part I have not fully wrapped my head around it, but it's so interesting, is how have you tied the content to collectible cards that came out right around the same date as the animations on that platform? What is that tie-in? Is this moments from those short videos that are then like tokenized as a collectible?
Sorry, say it one more time.
Is essentially, because you now have these packs of collectible cards that came out, and I think it was timed, pretty close to the Amazon announcement, right? Are these directly tied into those shorts that we just saw on Amazon?
So yeah, from a story POV and from a historical moments POV, that was the plan. Was we knew Amazon was coming, and we knew it was going to be those 3 shorts, and this entire Pioneer Edition run does a few thing. It celebrates and helps build the real watch and collect platform. And so these are promo cards to that. It prototypes Hibu rewards, which Andrew can get into later. So you do get like Hibu token loops when you buy cards. Above everything, it shows the whole space that, guys, story is value. And when you tie collectibles to pieces of content that resonate with people and characters that resonate, it is now you actually have like powerful collectibles, and you have conversation pieces, and you have stuff that means something to people in some shape or form. So it was all that tied together. To me, I consider these like, probably if we can make watch and collect really successful and have like millions of people use that platform down the line, like, that would be that would be the dream. And if that's the case, then these are sort of like Charizard level first prints of that, meaning this is the only time to ever get them. They celebrate, wow, like a team's on is on prime. They celebrate the first ever 3 clips we made where the characters talk, and that was the start of everything. Obviously, the OGs, the saga, like the actual dinosaurs that you can buy on Magic Eden or otherwise, are the founding tiers. But as far as collectibles are concerned, I think these cards also slap if you zoom out.
Are these cards, are they lifted directly out of the animations? Like every card, is that kind of like a moment in it?
So yeah, like if you zoom in, you're gonna. I don't even know if you can zoom in on your browser, but you see like in the second row, Flea's like in a box, like it's like a fake airplane for him.
Yeah, I see right here.
When you look at like what's on the box, it's all sub communities, by the way. It's all like their logos. So we throw in like a bunch of fun stuff. But what we do is we take moments. That was what we were trying to pilot and test. We're taking moments that you see in the show, and then we extrapolate that and enrich those stories. So you have like, okay, now you get to see like Flea, something that might happen in the 8-minute version of the show. You see the ragdoll that's got angel wings, because obviously the ragdoll is dead. Like it loses its head when they slingshot it away. It's kind of funny, but isn't that what comics do? And isn't that what trading cards have always done? They're sort of story shards that can amplify an existing storyline or show stuff that you just don't get to see in the main product, which would be like the TV show.
Man, these are
I love it, dude. Sorry.
It's wild. Dude, look at the last one, the Mythic. Okay, so the Mythic, I posted something today.
This right here.
Or yesterday night, which was like a story's value. That's Tyson, and it's almost impossible to get because I don't know that holder will ever sell, and he's like really tough to reach. But that's one of our ancients. It's one of our 101s. It features as the big baddie in our content. If you Google Claynosaurz Tyson, Gemini will tell you it's an ancient and will tell you what it is to the TV show. And then you're going to see concept art. You're going to see him, doing his thing in the TV show. And you're going to see this like limited edition card. It starts to make sense. You're like, oh, I can see what the team's doing and the efforts they're putting in to create Charizard level assets for the future. It's not an overnight thing. I think that's what everyone gets wrong with IP. But if you put in those right kind of processes in place and you build products that are engineered to bring value back or assumed value to the collectibles, and a lot of that has to do with story and things like that, then you got something.
It's funny, Huda, because you know how stupid I am when it comes to like something clicking, right? Like I'm slow with that shit. Like,
yeah,
when it clicks, it clicks,
when it clicks, it clicks. Right. And there was a clicking moment when I went down to Miami, and Luca's a dog, man. And he is like, dude grinds. And I hear him talk about their route of IP. And I'm like, no, I get that for you guys. This is like the first time. And like, Cab, I like you. We've chatted on Spaces. Like we run in the same kind of circles. But like, this is the first time I've been able to see like the things connect. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm like, okay, you got the show, you got your short videos, you got the packs. Here's how it all kind of ties together. And oh, by the way, this isn't just like some concept that we're telling people we'd like to do. You did it. And
dude, that means a lot. I just want to point out that like Luca has so much grit. And I think that Pudgy's right now, they're kings of the castle for retail. And what they've done and what they are doing is insane. The beauty of what's happening now is this is just our way of doing it. Yes. Everyone's doing it in the way that actually makes sense for their brands. And this method is what works for us because we want to be very collector forward as well. So it's like IP collectibles funnels into everything else. That's our shit. So
dude, I just genuinely, I fucking love it, bro. I really, really do. I'm not just saying it to be kind to you on here. I'm like, no, I like this. Like, I like the avenue. I like how it fits and works for your ecosystem. And I like the benefit that like the greater space may get when like You know, when like, okay, so when I'm talking to people who ask me all the time about Kongs, right? Like people who know me and they don't really understand, our stuff is so degenerate, what we do. It's hard for somebody to relate to that. To be able to take them to like Amazon Prime and be like, well, here's a buddy of mine. Let me give you an example of something that they did. And you can talk about like, you know, trading cards. You could show them you're on Amazon Prime. It actually gives, like validation that this isn't all degenerate basement goblin kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? It's real. It's
There's
tangible.
some real deal stuff happening too. It's so cool because zoom out again. The dream was that you could have these like Web3 native IP that comes and makes it in a big way, and we hadn't seen it yet. Now all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, in a way, it's happening.
Then you have a fucking industry, dude. I wrote this shit a long time ago. It was about like you need a couple IPs to win this game, and a couple to pioneer it, and the whole industry will FOMO like crazy.
Yes,
I love to think we're a part of that story, but you think of what happened with Netflix. Netflix had not created the streaming wars and the streaming industry until Disney Plus became a thing, until Prime Video became a thing, and until then every studio and their dog wanted to create a streaming platform. That's when you knew Netflix had created an industry, not when Netflix was just doing it solo. And I really think that's true. I think we need to win. I think Pudgies needs to win. I think a lot of projects need to win in order to change the game. And for the whole entertainment industry, it could be fine. I think finance industries are definitely ahead of the curve there. But entertainment industry, to look at Web3 and go, holy fuck, like this is a viable strategy.
All right. So Cap, how do we Trojan horse a dumpster into your next episode? That's how we get into the Web 2 crowd and just slowly like seed the idea of degeneracy into their minds.
You're a little bit in luck because in the show, you don't actually you see it. It's obvious in the first episode. There's a ton of empty shelves in that set. So a lot of the sets that we're building for the show have negative space and places to put stuff and trinkets and have picture frames on the walls. The reason we built those is to be able to slip in community members on purpose, to be able to slip in like pop culture stuff from our own community and some Web3 stuff, because we want to give ourselves like the room to do fun stuff like that. So it's definitely a possibility.
That's awesome, dude. Smart move. Yeah. Smart move.
So cool. Can you do just like the quickest TLDR on this card collection, like supply and rarity and that kind of thing?
Yeah. You want to go for it, Andrew?
Sure. So the supply is technically capped in like smart contract wise at 200,000 cards. That is not a cap that we were like expecting to hit. It was more like we want to have like an unlimited supply for a period of time. The period of time is up until we've announced July 28th, right, Nick? Right, it's July 28th that we're going to close.
July 28th is the last day. Yeah.
July 28th will be the last day. Then on a 200,000 unit basis, the maximum amount of epic cards. So you see the second to last column. Yeah, exactly. Those epic cards, all the cards that are the 15 cards to the left side of the screen, those are all the cards you can unpack. Then you craft them as they're described in this picture in sets to get the legendary cards on the right. So you're unpacking those 15. And then from a rarity perspective, there's no more than 5,000 of those epic cards, which are the second from the right.
And then when you guys scroll up, you'll see the stats.
Yeah, the stats are there. So like one of them, they're all there. Yeah, so 1,300, 1,500, 2,200. So the game night one is the rarest epic, and then the other two are there. But those numbers are assumed on a 200K supply. We're not, that's sort of like, again, what's ingrained in the smart contract, which is this is one of the cool things about like blockchain collectibles and stuff like this. When you buy Pokemon cards, you have no bloody clue how many of this or that there are. You have no bloody clue if they printed a bunch, or there was even a scandal, right? Like the people at the production facility were like pocketing the Charizards, right? So here it's like, this is what it is. That's the math. On July 28th, if we sell 100,000, then those will be halved, right? From a distribution perspective, they're distributed across like sort of batches. So it's not like you can have like a far right tail or multi-standard deviation event where somehow you pack all 5,000 in the first whatever. So it's spread out. So
the drop rate stays the exact same throughout for those rares.
Right, but statistically speaking, statistically speaking, you got to choose batches, right? So you can't say like this is the drop rate over 200,000 because then you have some permutations where in theory you have a left tail or right tail event, like I said. So that can't happen, right? All that goes to say the drop rate's very, very low. Chasing the epics is great. And then the sets themselves, when you collect them, are the Hibu bonus comes out of each pack. So right now the Hibu bonuses are coming out of the pack. On July 28th, when we close it, there will be bonuses in Hibu for the collecting of different sets. So each set, if you collected one, will get a bonus, and then also that 2.5% will be fully allocated, right? So if 100,000 packs get unpacked rather than 200,000, the 2.5% gets spread over that amount, not over 200,000, right?
Yeah. So then you'll double down on rewards. You would have like extra allocation for every card purchaser. You would have set bonuses on a per set basis, but also anyone that completes the full sticker book is how we're looking at it. And one thing to keep in mind for the collectors is even if the smart contract has a hard cap at 200K, the print doesn't happen until it's printed, meaning when someone mints is when the collectible exists. If it was never minted, it doesn't actually exist. And so basically the community dictates how many will exist, and then it's over.
Andrew, you're Canadian.
Are you?
I am. So is Nick, by the way.
I thought I heard it in Nick's voice a little bit too,
but
what gave it away though? How did you figure that out?
You talked. And
people said I sound like I'm from New York sometimes.
I just heard it from UCAB. I heard it when Andrew was talking, and like in the Kong's Discord lately, we have been like inundated by Canadians. There's a massive contingent of Canadians in Web3. I happen to be close to the border, so I'm
happy for you. Canadians are really nice people,
bro. Yes, I love Canadians. They are kind. They're nice. I just noticed that. So cool. Amazing.
The cards are fantastic, by the way. I just cracked 2 packs while you guys were chatting.
Awesome.
Oh, they're so cool.
So basically, do the extra. Okay, look, this is a perfect example. So everything we do needs to propagate the brand and sort of trigger fans into the right places. So when you see the Popkin there, like there's a little dodo that's just floating, that's just supposed to make you laugh. But you start to understand how Popkins are sort of like the random little animals and minions of our world. So we do more and more of that. So you'll see them in the show, but you'll see them all over the place. So in those cards, you'll find so many Easter eggs. And I really urge you guys to go through the episodes, then look through all the cards and understand how, from a story perspective and a brand perspective, they're tied together, and there's so much to discover. You can discover the story through the cards, or you can discover the story through the show. We've also realized it's fucking powerful for kids. So there's a video of Blake doing this thing with his kid who's like 6 years old. He's watched the episodes. He's opening the cards, and his dad's asking him like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "That's Milo." And what is he? He's a stego. And then he's like, "What's that?" He's pointing at the pocket. He's like, "That's a dodo." And you're like, "Holy shit, we're onto something!" Like, dude, it's fucking sick.
Magic.
Andrew,
it's sick.
I just want to ask, so we can at least talk about it for a minute. How hard was it with what you guys were doing to navigate the Canadian regulatory environment? And did you need to take into account? Yeah, bro. I see you smiling because I can imagine what you had to go through. Did you have to?
I'm gonna get coffee. This is the perfect time.
Did you also have to take into account like the U.S. regulatory environment?
Yeah. So the answer to both. So yeah, Canada makes it actually more complicated because just in general, like regulatory perspective, especially securities laws, Canada kind of just piggybacks the U.S. Right? Like these are two economies that are super well integrated. You know, like you pegged earlier, we're living in Canada, so the company is based in Canada. You know, Canadians invest in American companies. Like it's so the Canadian regulatory environment in general, especially from like securities perspective, it's following the U.S. So when you guys get like the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, like these kinds of things that are coming through or have come through, we're a margin behind that, right? So the regulatory environment for this particular thing is more like crowdfunding and stuff like that, where there is moving the ball forward in the U.S. So like in the US, you guys have like a Reg CF that can be used relatively easily. Reg CF has to happen through a US company, and it has to be an operating company. So I can't. We have a US subsidiary. I can't use that US subsidiary to issue equity for an operating company elsewhere, right? Like I can't use it as an SPV for a Canadian company, so to speak. So I'm giving you more detail than maybe everyone will understand, but like ultimately it's more complicated. And I do have to consider the US regulatory environment too, because even though I can't exactly peg every single wallet and account like where they're located, because it's Web3 and that's the point, or that's not the point, but we don't have that privileged information. We have to kind of plan like to try and hit as many holders as possible. And it would be a little silly of me to be like, well, I'm not sure if anyone's in the US. Like I know for sure we've got a bunch of holders in the US, just anecdotally, right? So that means that like we have to have like a US like administrative like, sort of entity, a Canadian administrative entity, and we also have to consider international too, because I know we've got a lot of holders in Europe and Latin America and Asia and so on and so forth. So you got to consider all of these regimes. And because Canada is home base, that is kind of like what your baseline is, right? Like that's what you benchmark to. Everybody has to follow that baseline, whether you're in Timbuktu or New York City, right? So you have the Canadian baseline, and then you've got the US as it applies to US people. Then you've got certain jurisdictions like Europe that have well-established sort of regulatory regimes. Then you've got places that don't give up, right? And you're just like, okay, but they still need to apply into like the Canadian regime, right? So, but it took a lot to figure that all out because there is some precedent. I've mentioned this on other sort of spaces and things like this, where like Rect has done this before. And when I looked at what they did, they used the Reg CF approach, and that was the recommended approach from our legal counsel as well. And then I start talking to like the admin agents, and they're like, "Yeah, but you're not an American company." I'm like, "Yeah, obviously, like all of my lawyers know that." And so then they're like, "Yeah, but you can't do it." So then I call my lawyer. My lawyer's like, "So you're like fucking Christ, dude! Like, what is going on?" So it took some exploration, and it's not. We have a very good lawyer, so no flack at the lawyers, but nobody has ever come to them and say, "Hey, we want to give away equity for free," because it makes it a lot easier. And this is actually one of the fixes: is raise money. If I wanted to do an actual crowdfunding and raise money, it actually makes it a lot easier. It's way easier for me to go and say, "Hey, just give me a few bucks." We actually considered it at a moment where it's like, well, what would be the benefit for our holders if I'm asking them for money in return? And it's like, well, maybe we do a round, like a crowdfunding round, but like if you're a holder, you get a discount. So it's like it's a benefit for them, but you're still asking them for money. So we toyed with that a little bit. I don't even think I brought that back to the team. Did I ever bring that back to the team, Nick? I don't think so. Yeah, I killed it. I don't think Nick's not even listening. So I never brought that back to the team. But even amongst like for a moment we toyed with it, and I was like, it's not going to make sense. Like it doesn't exactly prove the point of what we're trying to achieve. Anyway, so longer answer, which is why Nick went get coffee, but it's been the Canadian element makes it more complicated, and it's just because we're like a fraction behind the US all the time. And in this case, it's that Reg CF crowdfunding thing where the parallel sort of law or regulatory filing in Canada does not apply to the same outcome, and it's also it's a much smaller amount. I think it's like Reg CF you can use up to $5 million US, and then I think in Canada the equivalent is like 1.5 million CAD.
Okay,
which is effectively $1 million US, call it.
Bro. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. That's the grind behind the scenes that I don't want to say nobody cares about. They just expect like it works and somebody smarter than me figured it out. But the hours of your life that you put into it, I can
There's
imagine
a lot of things like that in business, right? So there's a lot of things people take for granted, right? Like even like getting on Amazon, right? It's not like you just call Amazon and say, "Hey, got some cool content." Like you have no clue who to call. Like getting that call is going to take you a long time. Then when you talk to that person, we all know Amazon is gargantuan. That person needs to get to 2 other people, needs to go to 3 other people, and then yada yada yada. It's like it is a process, and then you got to go through compliance, and then you got to go through like the creative team has to get involved because they have specific standards for their formats and stuff like this, right? Like it takes an army just to get on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And then and all of that shit is boring. And we had a question this morning on like Spaces, another Spaces guy says like, well, there's this very romantic idea of like a founder and starting your own business, and it's going to be grindy. And I think when people think it's going to be grindy, they're like, "Oh man, I'm going to do it's going to be grindy, but I'm going to be doing shit I love all the time. And like the fact of the matter is like, you're going to do a lot of shit you don't want to do, right? Like, yes, it's interesting to solve these legal problems, but you know what? Like reading through hundreds of pages of like regulatory frameworks that go back to the 30s, you're like, Jesus, I mean like the 1930s, you're like, it's not really fun bedtime reading unless you really want to get put to sleep, because that's what it'll do. It's not ideal, right? And before someone fucking says just use the AI, yes, I'm very adept at using AI, but legal documents and regulation and securities law, it's all about it as innuendo, right? You need to know the exact language. You can't have an AI interpret it for you. At best, it could point you in the right direction. We had a legal case, not at Claynosaurz, but in a previous job. I used to be in private equity, private credit, which turned for us due to a comma. The comma in the line interpreted the sentence differently. Wow. And on the version that the client had, or not the client, but the other person, the comma was not as clear to them, but the end document had a comma. That comma made a difference. So point being that you need to read it all.
Dude, when we were in the midst of our stuff with the SEC, and of course they were kind of rapid firing at so much in crypto, right? FTX and like wherever they were spraying, whenever there would be a legal briefing that would come out, I was reading that shit. And I mean, those aren't like 4 pages.
No.
Yo, you can have 70, 120 pages, and you're just looking for like something where you can go back to your legal counsel. And of course they're reading that stuff too and just be like, does this help us? Does this one line help us? And it's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't understand half the time. But you're right, dude. When you're doing these kind of things, it's not like a Web3 collab where you're just like, hey, send your wallets. Here's the template, send your wallets. It seems cool to work with Amazon Prime. It is cool to work with Amazon Prime, by the way. But like when we were working with any big companies, Adidas, Kawada, any of those kind of places, it was exciting. And then you get into it and all the stuff you just said, like, yeah, this isn't just you and the person you're working with. They got people. Oh, it changed to the art. Well, let's go to the.
Dude, we had, talk about it probably in a different space or something, but we had a partnership with a studio, and it was the same thing where there's so much frictions when you're working with other people that have more rules than you do as well. I think is where a lot of that friction comes from, and then you realize if we don't have to be working with a partner, better to do it ourselves. And otherwise big licensing deals or very low friction partnerships are fucking awesome. But when you have like a plan and there's people that are getting in the way of that plan because it's so corporate, it's really tough.
Really tough. Huda, I know we it's been an hour with these guys. So you got any like finishing follow-up, any things to say? They've been one of the best streams that I think we've had.
These guys are great. They're great. Yeah, I want to be respectful of your time. I don't know if you have a few more minutes, because I mean, man, we got to get into Hibu and we got to get into the equity stuff. But if now's not the time, we do episode 2. So I'm going to leave that to you guys.
I don't know about Nick, because I came in halfway through here, so I got time. But Cab, you're the boss.
Yeah, I just looked and I'm fine. I don't have a meeting for a little bit.
Okay.
We're good. Let's rock and roll.
Let's keep on keeping on. Then you just give us the cutoff when it needs to happen here. Talk a little bit about Hibu first and what that platform is and just how big of a pillar, I guess, that is in your ecosystem.
So Hibu comes out of Claynosaurz and everything we learned on Clayno, but it's effectively, it's meant to be like a creator fan studio, right? And we think that this captures the creator economy as it grows. Like today, and Cab, Nick can give you like a whole bunch of examples directly with Claynosaurz and then with the number of people he speaks to on the creative side. A creator can't own their own audience. A creator lives in like a bunch of different places: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Telegram, all these places, right? And then let's say you want to do streaming. So now you're on Amazon, now you're on Netflix. How does a creator do that? All the tools exist for a creator to actually create content, to post it, to gain audience, but there's no way for them to actually like participate and directly connect with that audience. There's even stories of creators who've got like there's subreddits of like big creator fan bases, but the creator themselves can't even get into them. Like, there's weird things like that, right? And then so we think there's a confluence of all these platforms that creators use in an economy. Like the creator economy is growing at pace. Like this is, AI seems to be on everyone's mind, rightfully so, but the creator economy is you know, piggybacks that movement, and I think it even has its own legs that are beyond that. And there's no platform that services them. So our studio, Hibu, is meant to give creators direct access and kind of ownership of their fans, and vice versa, in the same spirit of how we've just given away equity at the Clayno level to our fans. It's reciprocated, right? Where you want to be able to have your fans win if you win. And the principle is very simple, right? Like, you're never going to survive as a new entertainment brand in this ever-growing world of content and optionality for the viewers if you don't bring those early fans in and help you propagate the IP with them. So that fan actually brings this social equity. Like, it's an economic principle that's not really developed, and it's not really developed in the places that allow it to be like an economic privilege, so to speak. The only places where you see some degree of fan and creator working together in a like measurable basis is Kickstarter and to some degree Patreon, where you see fans and creators coming together. And those two platforms bring together about $3 billion per year of capital for the creators to build stuff, but they don't give anything back to the fan, right? Maybe you get a product on the back end of Kickstarter, but it's like you're kind of in the dark. You contribute your money on Kickstarter, then it's like, okay, let's see what happens for a month, 2 months, 5 months, a year. And sometimes, you know, we've experienced it ourselves. You don't hear anything back for years. It's like your money's just gone, but you know what you're getting into. Patreon is just like a subscription place. Like, there's an opportunity to create a two-way conversation. So like, what does Clayno do well? Like, we exist in all these places. We have a community team set up for that to manage everything. And we interact directly with our fans, and they reciprocate, right? They bring value to the brand by sharing that IP with everybody, by creating user-generated content, by being on the timeline, by being in Discord, by being in Telegram, by showing up to our events, and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier, we wouldn't be on Amazon if it weren't for them. And it's not because we have a great NFT collection, because we have a great community, and that's built off the NFT collection. So Hibu has the tooling inside of it for the creator, including that direct relationship with the fans. You know, there's AI tooling that we've built out as well. There's capital formation tooling. There's all kinds of things like this, so that we can bring great creators and have their fans and creators exist together inside of that system and build that great IP and reward social equity in sort of a new class of, call it your cap table, that doesn't exist before this.
So is there like a TLDR on how the platform works, right? How the creator connects with the fans and how the fans connect with the creator?
So that's being built out. But like, for me, it really scales what a lot of NFT projects know very well, which is you're going to cold start a brand. You're going to do a couple posts on Twitter. You're going to inject yourself in the community, and the more you post stuff, the more you're active. And you show what you're working on, then the more you grow that community. But then for the community, the way in which they participate, they're getting points, which essentially are tokens. But think of like, let's imagine the whole economy of He was a little bit like an airline loyalty system, where you have like a master system, and inside of that you've got different airlines. These would be different creators or different brands that are being built out in the open. And then by participating across those different airlines, you've got like fans that are accruing loyalty points that can actually be used to spend on more creators, on the drops that creators are making. But at the same time, as you're participating and getting those tokens, you're getting your social equity, which is, am I a tastemaker? How do I exist inside of the framework of this brand versus the other? You become an officiated brand ambassador. There's all these different metrics, which are really cool. The biggest problem creators have is, sure, you can start as a creator on YouTube or Instagram, but and fans start to follow you, and they start to participate with the stuff, and you'll ask questions and they answer in the comment. But a fan really, that's what it kind of sucks for the fan, because oftentimes all they're doing is they're commenting, and that's where it ends. You feel actually like a number.
You're on the perfect page, by the way. Like, you can go check out the page that you're on now, the How It Works page you were on before, and then the Vision page that you're on. But the How It Works, it really walks you through what the platform will feel like. And Nick just talked about all of it, right? But it's like a social media style platform where you are having an accumulation amount of drops. So imagine every IP. So imagine we're talking to a new, let's just call it Claynosaurz. Claynosaurz is on is on the platform, and you have like a history of what have these guys done, right? And that's your timeline, and it's an accumulation of different drops, and fans participate inside of these drops on an ongoing basis. So you kind of like collect the drops almost like you would collect a collection, but like I was here for this moment kind of thing. And those collecting of different drops leads to like your status inside of that particular property. So you'll see like if you keep scrolling down, it'll just a little bit more. So that's like the timeline. Now you see how it says, okay, so now you're sitting here, it says founder drops. You've participated in 229 out of 234, and your tier is founder. There's different tiers because, you know, in this example on the page, you've been around for so long that you're founder status, right? And you participated in all these drops and you've collected all these things. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see like there's community and direct interaction between the creators and the community themselves. And again, all of this is what we've learned with Clayno, right? Like, we built Clayno, and it's like, fuck, like, you know, we had to stand up a whole team for community, Telegram, Discord, moderators here, social media guys there, this, that, the other. And it's like, how is that accessible for the average creator who can do so much but can't like do everything? All of this can be solved with the right platform, right? So this is, you know, what it's going to look like from a sort of platform feel perspective. I think that page goes really well. And then the vision page is a lot of what we're talking about in terms of like, you know, marrying the creators with their fans, and then the power of the signal of the fans. And I think Cab talks about this a lot. I'm not sure if we talked about it here, but like, we not only have like Easter eggs from our community that exist in the Clayno universe, whether it's, you know, the dactyls and the sardine cans and these other kinds of things, or they call it like the sky chickens and this kind of stuff. But there's also like actual feedback where people in our Discord or in conversation are like, have you thought of this? Or we reacted well to this, but we didn't like this. And like you tinker, and we actually really do take that information in and build it. So that signal is really, really important. There's also, you know, I think when I first got onto the space here, you guys were talking about the NFT floor price and how it's like we don't chase the price, but the price of the floor is a signal, right? Like you'd be remiss to say, oh, well, I don't give a fuck. Like my collection's down 100%, or 100%, it's down 70% today. That doesn't mean anything. Well, no, it probably means your community is pretty pissed at you, or it probably means you're not going to have that early, you know, fandom, or the community you thought was so strong probably isn't, right? That signal is actually really important, right? You don't need it to be financialized through the NFTs for every property, but signal is important. So all of the things inside of Hibu build that relationship between the fan and the creator in a symbiotic way to empower each to win together. And then the principle that we just talked about with equity for Claynosaurz, we want that to apply to Hibu token, albeit Hibu token will not be equity, but apply into the ecosystem in the same economic manner, so it captures the social equity upside of each of those brands, right? So if you imagine a world where the creator economy is captured here, and like I said, you know, there's $3 billion between Kickstarter and Patreon that I think is low-hanging fruit. That doesn't preclude the other billions of dollars being spent haphazardly across Hollywood. You've got a multi-billion-dollar per annum ecosystem that has nowhere to live right now, and Hibu token is going to capture that.
It's wild. You guys are cooking so hard at so many levels. I haven't seen anything else out there like it. Just not even close. It's
kind of mind blowing, right?
Yeah, because it's not like it's just these. It's these fully fleshed out platforms and ideas, and they make sense. And you're like, dude, well, this is gonna work. It's gonna work. So I've got to just be following along as closely as I can, dude.
Also, like it's I think there's probably a lot of people that just don't know. It's like anything. People only have so much space in their head for, you know, the projects that they're in. It's really awesome to get like a deep dive into it instead of just being like, oh, Claynos, they're cool. They've been on Soul. They're in animations. They're doing cool stuff. They just landed on Prime. Like there's a whole ecosystem behind it. It's really, really, of course, your people know that, right? But somebody like me who's been like a fan on the sidelines, I didn't know how deep it went. And it's as people who like to have kind of a deep ecosystem, it's really cool to see.
Yeah. And then I would say best for last, but all of this is the best. So I don't know, the equity thing, the NFTs equal equity, dude, that was for me, one of the biggest selling points for NFTs back in the day, like when I first started 2020, 2021, and it was this idea that you can, own an NFT and it could be, equity in a brand new thing. And nobody really did it. And shout out to Rec guys. They did it. And there was like the plague, and maybe that was it. Maybe there's another one. I know there's like a fungible token AI project on base that did something similar, but you guys are doing it. You're like the dream is coming to life here, and I can't believe it. And I hope everybody's celebrating it because it's that big of a moment. Was this your plan all along? Like you bought into that dream too early on? I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I can't peg the exact moment where like we're going to do this, but we sort of recognized pretty early on. I mean, like you said, the day we got here, so to speak, like the advent of NFTs. I remember the first week because I joined these guys after they launched, like literally the day after they launched the first OG collection. There was a bunch of questions on like, hey, like, can we say that this is rights to the actual IP? And I'm like, no, it's not rights to the IP. I mean, you can't just say things that aren't true. In the same spirit, you can't just be like, the NFT is equity. You can't just say it. It's like I wish I could just be like, oh, and there's a dinosaur. Like, you can't just say things. You got to make them true. So I was like, that's not true. But there was a huge amount of conversation. This is like late 22, early 23, around the NFTs being the rights to the actual thing, right? So if I own, my blue Rex, that blue Rex is mine, and I can use and propagate that particular character. For 1,000,001 reasons, it's not actually very practical because, you need a group of characters, you need the whole IP to live together. Otherwise, it's very tough to navigate building out the property in the proper way. But you don't want people like randomly exploiting different characters in different ways. It makes the brand spastic and hard to build up. But the idea existed. And then quickly we learned how powerful the community is. I think there was at first, and I think this is where a lot of NFT projects died early on, is they, and I'm not going to say that we are like, such altruistic angels that we never have this thought, but there was this idea like, oh my God, the community is such a burden. Like these people keep asking us for all these things. Like, where is this? Where is that? We need this, we need that. And, a lot of that, especially early on, was I think based in like a level of distrust where people were like, all these people have come and gone and never delivered anything. But then the expectation is like, hey, like you launched yesterday. Where's the TV show? It's like, we literally launched the NFT collection. How would I, or we did a mobile game. Where's the mobile game? So do you know how long it takes to build a mobile game? Like it takes a bloody long time and a lot of money. So it's like, yeah, we're working on it, but it takes time. Right. And then I think a switch flipped, at least for me, and Cab would have been earlier to this than I would have, but like, was like, what are we complaining about here? Like, I don't want to sound cliche and say like the customer is always right, but like we've got like fans that like kind of care enough to know and ask us about what's going on. Like, why don't we like nurture this? And like, we have to both repel like these sort of like crazy expectations, but nurture the ideas and kind of make that community feel heard, which, it took some time. But that flip I'm talking about, switch, was basically community being a liability to community being an asset, right? And I think that's the switch that most NFT collections or most projects in Web3 never really were able to get to. And we did a good job of like sort of nurturing that. And I think at that moment, it was like, okay, we do see the value here. How do we, if they're an asset, like they should have, the corresponding degree of equity, right? Like, and that idea kind of formed in parallel to all those ideas where it's like, well, IP rights doesn't really make sense. And like these people are valuable. Let's think about what that looks like. And we started thinking about like the studio, Hibu, and all this kind of stuff, although the name wasn't formed, probably in mid to late 2023. And around the same time, this principle would have started to be discussed. And I've been working on the legal innuendo and all that kind of stuff for well over a year.
I'm sure that's been just intense trying to get this all like kind of tied up with a bow and ready for the community. Snapshot was what, 2-ish weeks ago, and the checker's out there, and I see the community so excited seeing, their allocation. Clay, was it Clay shares, Clay points?
I think the website says Clay shares. That's just sort of like the fun way of saying it, but it's equity in Clayno Inc. Clayno Inc. is a Canadian company. It exists. It holds the assets that are Claynosaurz. It's the operating company where the artists are employed. If Claynosaurz, the brand, makes money, Clayno Inc. receives that money. And then the shareholders that will get equity via these options and the way we're structuring it participate in that entity.
It's amazing. Do you think there's going to be a day where that equity isn't coming through like stock ownership, but it is the NFT itself? Is that something like the Clarity Act is going to help drive, at least here in the States?
It's a good question. So that would be ideal, right? And I think what I spent so much time on over a year wasn't like the exactitudes of what we're doing now. It's like we wanted to have basically what you just described be the case, or because we've already launched the NFTs, probably like have a Clay token that trades and represents the equity or something, but have it directly linked to those NFTs. The problem is all the securities laws, right? So if you're going to do that, you have to do like effectively like the same filing you would do for like an IPO, right? And that will cost you like $2 million, right? And it's a lot of work and time. And it's we're not so well endowed with cash that $2 million would be a rational spend for that, right? So in an ideal, like altruistic sort of end state, the answer to your question is yes, that would be absolutely ideal. You launch this cool kick-ass NFT collection and it already represents equity. It makes the NFTs a security, so you got to go through all these filings. But that's like the pure way of doing it. And then to kind of like exasperate that ideology, even like the Hebrew level inside of those projects, you would have the same idea where if a fan contributes something to the brand, like let's say I share something, I get points into that IP, and then that represents equity, right? Like I've contributed and I've measurably contributed, I get equity in return, like this perfect system. That's not where we are today. So to answer the question on like Clarity Act and all this kind of stuff, it does not give a framework for that exact fix. There was some language from the new SEC chair earlier in the year. I think it came in like a speech or a press release where they're working on a particular kind of like early startup crowdfunding level regulatory framework where for I think it's a period of like 2 years, you might get like a buy where it's like, okay, effectively you can do this with a very light regulatory touch, if you will, that's more inclusive or more less cost restrictive and more open. But you have a 2-year period, and then you kind of got to upgrade to these other regulatory frameworks. So that hasn't been released in its entirety. I don't think it's not directly linked to the Clarity Act, but it's like a knock-on effect of this ongoing, regulatory, I don't want to say improvement, but innovation, if you will, or marriage of regulatory framework into ever-moving technology.
Yeah. Okay. Defameless. The answer to this one I know, right? Yeah. The shares are, I think, tied to the person who was snapshotted. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. And it's for the same reason I just said. If you let it trade on the premise that the shares are attached to the NFT,
it's a security, right?
It becomes a security, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Dude, when I saw that, just from my little experience in, the regulatory side of things, not as a as a target, not a regulator. I was like, oh, dude, these guys, they fucking get it. They get it. Yeah. That's smart. I love it. And it just rewards, like, it's that next level of rewarding the people who believed in what you're doing without, I know that you did it to avoid it being a security, but it also has that effect of like, no, we could have, if we announced we were going to do it and we wanted to play in the gray
and what area, are we really trying to do? We're trying to like pump royalties, stuff like that.
That's
right?
Exactly. Yeah. If you wanted to dance in the gray area and waited to get a letter in the mail, years from now, you could have done that and pumped the floor and got the royalties and got that mind share. You just quietly snapshot, let people know. And it's like, amazing.
I think in a perfect world, and I think people see that now, is just expect to be surprised and delight when you hold a Clayno. Like, it's just be patient, but at some point in time, shit happens. And when you're a part of that, it's fucking awesome. And that's the culture we want to build, where people stop asking when, and they wake up one day, they're like, wow, so dope, right?
That's why I pulled up the manifesto here, because if you read it, and I'm going to drop it in the chat and I'm going to tweet it out after. If you read this and you understand how they think about their NFTs and the collectibles, and it's everything to them. And And so I would think if you're holding a Clayno or we're looking for one, you would be proud to do that. And you know, I don't know if I would say expect more to come, but you can just tell what they think about these assets.
I think so. I think so. But I would urge everybody to read through this. We have like, God, it must be like 10 pages long. We have like a doctrine that this is a synthesis of the doctrine, but really the way we felt is, and we've been working on this for probably too long. Andrew will be the first to tell you, but with amazing thinkers and people that have a lot of experience in the space for years and years, and a lot of people that have experience with collectibles, period. And part of the thinking was, dude, at some point we're going to be successful. And if we're successful, we got to be ready for the baggage that has. And we can't be winging how we release collections. And at some point in time, it needs to be systemic so that everything we do has the intent of making sure that whatever it is that we sell means something in 30 years. It's not just a random ass thing that doesn't exist in our system or whatever. And that we need to hold ourselves accountable, but also have discipline in the way in which in how we think of growing our ecosystem. And we think that, dude, the bigger our ecosystem, then the more value goes to the founding artifacts or tiers or whatever you want to call the Claynos. We need discipline to grow it so that it doesn't actually explode the ecosystem and it doesn't dilute anything. So a lot of that comes from that, but really this is a document that's built to protect trust. And I think trust is the number one asset we have in the space, but it's probably one of the most important assets any collectibles forward company has. There was a point in time where a few years back, Pokemon, before the craze of this year, had lost a bit of trust because people realized what they had done with their printing machines, right? Like, and they had, you know, there was not transparent supply. A bunch of shit happened. But once you lose trust, it's really hard to get it back. And I think that healthy secondary markets are basically trust infrastructure. I think that's very true for the space here. And that's what we try to protect, because that's literally, that is the one thing you don't want to trade. And if you hold on to it, then you can grow sustainably, and the community will do a lot for you and they will buy the product, but you got to hold on to that.
Yep, man. You say all the right things because I know you believe it. So it's so real. I love it.
Dude, I was there. I was in the trenches with people. Yeah. And the way we build Claynos is, what is it we wished we could have had? Like, and how we think of product is also that, is like, is this some shit we'd want to buy? And if it is, then fine, we'll do it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. We kept you well into overtime. I appreciate the hell out of you guys sticking around and just sharing all of that. And it sounds amazing. You got brothers here in the Cyber Kongs now on Solana with you, and there's a whole bunch of Kongs who are looking to get into Claynosaurz for the first time, and that's me.
Yeah, congrats on the new release, guys.
By the way, I've been seeing in the Kongs chat people saying like, "Hey, if I make some money on DUMPSTR, I want to buy a Clayno."
That's awesome.
A lot of dudes in there talking about Claynos right now.
That's awesome.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're soul brothers now, dude.
Yo, how do the bags? How do DUMPSTR bags work?
Yeah. So TLDR is you get a bag and then you get the tokens and you fill the bag with the tokens. And then you toss the bag into a dumpster. Dude,
the fact that it looks like the Sesame Street logo, I think Andrew's already frothing at the mouth.
I saw it. I actually saw it like weeks ago, and I was like, "This looks pretty cool." And I'm glad you're here. Yeah,
it was when we started working on this. Soul NFTs were obviously really quiet. And we're like, you know, as we like to experiment, we like to have fun. So we're like, we're doing it. It happened to be that like the trenches started to heat up a little bit. Different than DUMPSTR, which was a bit ominous, you know, kind of PvP feeling. We wanted this to still have like some relationship to some iconic IP. So we went kind of Sesame Street style, right? Adult Sesame Street. And, dude, I gotta say, and I've said this to a lot of people on Solana, the Solana people remind me and act like the way the OG ETH community used to be. What I'm seeing with the Solana people, if I'm on their spaces, if they're in our Discord, I'm like, dude, you are way more like the ETH OGs than the ETH OGs are. The ETH OGs, so many of them got this idea that we are above and beyond what that used to be. The Solana boys, they're just like, dude, they fit so well into like the Kong vibe. Obviously, you know, like we're different. They've been super receptive to what we're doing. It's been awesome. And like the thing about this is, kind of one of two things was going to happen. It was either going to come out of the gate and just rip, and you don't know. What I realized yesterday is a lot of the mind share that you see on X, we don't bot anything. So like when you're looking at the engagement, you're just like, there's a lot of engagement on this. Well, the reality is there was a lot of engagement. There was a lot of engagement that came out of Nigeria, like 100%. When we looked at the website to see who was checking whitelists, we saw over 50%. Over 50% of holders weren't whitelisted, but over 50% hitting the website were from Nigeria. And so I'm like, okay, a lot of that mind share is what's giving attention to new mints because they're out there grinding. Well, we launched at a 22K market cap, ran to 1.2, pulled back now to 800 something. And I think now we kind of know what road we're on, which is we're on the grind right now of spreading the word, letting more people understand that it's, I'm using the word and I stole it from somebody on Spaces yesterday, meme-fi. It's like, yeah, it's a meme coin, but it's a utility token. And essentially, you get your tokens, you put them in a bag, you throw them in a dumpster, and then you yield based on you yield either SOL or dump, which is the token, based on if your dumpster wins the raffle. And right now, we got enough powder in there to last 70 days. So like we've got 70 days of raffles in there. The raffle cooldown period increases or decreases based on volume. So we just learned a lot from DUMPSTR as far as like, okay, we don't want this thing to end in 4 days. We want this thing to continue on. And now the mission is to get out there and kind of spread the word and get more people involved and engaged in it and see if we can turn it into something really awesome.
Dude, I think we got to throw a Clayno in the
we got to go after Hebo. We got to go after Hebo.
This website is unreal, guys. It's so much fun. Maybe like Nick said before, I'm a huge fan of Sesame Street. I've actually got, okay, you guys are going to love this.
Oh, you're serious? Okay.
Yeah, wait for it.
I've got your mascot. I've got your mascot right here.
That's amazing, dude.
That wasn't expecting
Oscar the Grouch. So so you toss a dumpster bag, and there's like different bags I've seen.
Yeah.
And so you're basically choosing like a staking pool.
Yes.
And the raffle goes across all these different dumpsters.
Yes.
One of the dumpsters wins the raffle, and it distributes, I guess, like pro rata across the people inside there.
Dude, yes. So the winning dumpster gets the ARB opportunity for SOL. Okay. So the protocol buys one SOL bag of whatever token we're going after, bonk with anything. Right. Okay. It sells it to the dumpster based on how many people are staked in it is your ARB opportunity. So like these dumpsters are full. That means if they win, they get a 50% ARB. So their dumpster buys it for half a SOL, sells it for 1 SOL, and then distributes that half a SOL in the pool. Okay. There's 2 runner-up pools that get a percentage of what the protocol gets back from that buy. They get rewards in dump. And it's split, without getting crazy complicated, it's split.
And you guys have like the treasury or whatever to make that mechanic work for the next 70 days, you said?
Yeah, so there's currently 16. Go to the homepage, Huda, just so I can see. There's
I'm looking at it on my screen too.
Okay, I'll explain this new widget right here where it says Dumpster Engine.
Okay.
I don't know if you see that kind of like midway down. It's got the
I see it.
Okay, yeah. So the part on the top left, this is kind of new that we put up there. That shows what the gear essentially is saying, where are we at volume-wise? Because how often it spits out a raffle is based on 24-hour volume. So the more volume you do, the more raffles you do per day, okay? So right now we're in gear 2, which means we're doing a 1 SOL batch, okay? The batch is 1 SOL every 30 minutes. Okay. The more volume you get, that can get up to, I think, 3 SOL every 10 minutes if you're doing high volume. So at low volume, if we were doing absolutely nothing, $0 in trading volume, essentially, anything under $25,000 in volume, that's when you start eating into the fuel reserve, the 1664. That's how much powder is in there, 1664 SOL. And In second gear, I think we gain net raffles per day on the trading volume. But if we go below like 25K, we start, you start digging into that. And when we do that, there's like 70.6 days worth of raffles. So, the key is like, get this out there, get people to understand it. It is not just your typical meme coin where boom, it's out there and you're waiting for all the KOLs to get in. It's a little bit DeFi. On the left side where it says Dumpster Fire, that's the next thing that we're releasing. Dumpster Fire is like, it's like a slot game, like a slot machine game where you can wager dumpster to get whether it's 2x, 3x, 5x back, or there's a few jackpots. There's a progressive jackpot that gets fed by the engine, and then there's 3 like mini jackpots. So you know what it is? It's a thing to keep people. Sometimes with strategy tokens, you're just like, okay, I'm parked, and now what? Like I'm just parked and I'm waiting.
You know what's funny? I popped open the website, and the first thing I tried to click was the play button. The one that you just described. I was like, I want to play. So I just want to play something.
The goal is to have that online this week. Devs are like, that's what they're working on right now. Is to the biggest thing they have to make sure is that that it's smooth, that you're not playing it and then waiting to see. Like it's got to be smooth. So that's just another little fidget spinner for people to play with while they're waiting.
The seasons, like, because you got Bonk, is like, is that the current season is Bonk and the next season is Dog with Hat?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
That's like the extra bonus stuff.
It's like those are the things, those are the meme coins that you're targeting in each season, 48-hour period that you're buying and then ultimately selling. And we've had a lot of people that are like, hey, can you put NFTs into the Dumpster Fire? I think that's probably one of the biggest requests, and I'm sure that it's possible. I think the goal is like, get this out, get it working, see if people are enjoying it, and then see what we can do to improve things. That's
cool.
Like, so far so good. You'd love to see a chart that's up only, but right now I think we're consolidating. You've got some people who are like, hey, again, people who bought in at even 100K market cap are 8x. So you've got some people taking profit, and dude, my job is just to get out there and be talking to like the Solana crowd and get them to understand it and take part in something that's like a little bit more complicated than just a meme coin.
Nice. Dude, like, and then the ARB is between the NFT price on the dumpster bags and the potential yield inside of each of these protected when you dump them, right?
Say that one more time.
So if I'm there's probably no ARB. I would imagine that people are smart enough to have like done the math. But like I want to get a dumpster bag, right? So that I can drop it inside one of these dumpsters. So I'm looking at the NFTs, and like a regular dumpster bag right now, floor price looks like 0.87 SOL or something like that.
Yep.
So I'm looking at that price relative to the potential yield.
Yes.
Multiplied by like what my chances of winning the raffle are and all this stuff inside of one of these pools.
Yeah, dude, exactly that. And
he picked it up quick.
He's smart. Yeah, he's smart. Imagine everybody picked it up that quick.
I just know that the math is something like that.
Yes.
Meanwhile, fucking Nick, who picks up the crayons all day, is like, math?
To be fair, do math if we're gonna cycle this back to our relationship and how we run Clayno, a lot of the conversations are like, okay, Andrew, like, yes, that makes sense to you, but we need to make sure it makes sense for everybody. And so how do we make this very complicated message sound very simple? Which, by the way, I'm not always so good at. Nick's very good at that.
No, dude, what you just said is the crux of every launch we do, right? Because we don't usually at Kongs just say like, here's a PFP. Usually it's like there's something a little bit deeper. And the problem is there is there's a game theory to it, and there's not just one game theory. Somebody could just be playing the token. Somebody could be playing the yield. Somebody could be playing both of them. And there's sort of a game within the game, because you want to be staked into dumpsters that are at max ARB. 50 million tokens per dumpster is the max capacity. That gets you the 50% ARB. What's cool to see in the Discord is that the guys that are in the dumpsters, if they see that dumpster slip down to 47 million staked, they're on it. They're like in Discord and they're like, hey guys, we need 3 million more tokens here. And guys are trying to you can top up your bag when it's in a dumpster. So
so you can add the NFTs, but you can also, after you've added like a dumpster bag, you can then add actual tokens.
Yes. Yeah, you can stake. Let's say you had a silver bag. Okay, that allows you to stake 100,000 tokens. Maybe the dumpster
bag allows you to stake. So the bag doesn't have anything in it.
The bag dictates how many tokens you can stake.
So okay, bingo. Now I get it. That's
silver bag, 100,000 tokens it lets you stake. Gold bag lets you stake up to 500K, but it also has a 25% boost on it. So if you stake 500K, you get like 625K worth of token stake.
That's crazy. So the only bags that are on that are listed right now are silver bags, right? So I can't even get a diamond or a gold bag.
No, I think there might be. Let me check on Orbeez. Like the diamonds and golds really have had a premium because you can stake. Okay, so like diamond bag allows you to stake up to 2.5 million tokens, but you get a 50% boost. So that means if you stake 2.5 million, you actually get the staking power of 3.75 mil. So diamond is almost a 17 soul floor. Gold is like 5.6 soul. A legendary dumpster, this is cool. A legendary dumpster is 63 soul, but
Jesus,
if you own the legendary dumpster, you get without staking any tokens, you get 7.5% of the net profit of that dumpster, whether it's dump tokens or soul. So
I see the 20th dumpster has 0 people in it. So like in theory, like that's an opportunity, right? Like if you're willing to put enough into it, you could like solo run a dumpster.
You could, yeah. In fact, there's a guy right now that has he has at least 2. He might have 3 dumpsters. Hazardous is, and he's a legend, dude. He is telling people, here is your time to unstake if you want to go into another dumpster, because at some point today, he is staking the balance of his tokens in his dumpster. He's been seeding it to other dumpsters, and he's like, I'm putting mine in mine so I can keep it at the 50%. But yeah, you can go into an empty dumpster.
Who names the dumpsters?
The dumpster owner.
Okay, because there's a big Clayno energy dumpster that I just caught my eye. I was like, is that one like?
It could be a Clayno.
Number 9 is big Clayno energy. I was like, sick.
Okay, well, that might be a great dumpster for the Clayno. You know what I would love to see, honestly, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm like, man, it would be so cool for like a project to have a dumpster and get their community involved. I'm not saying like, oh, every project should come into Combs and do this thing. But I'm like, it would be cool to see like projects that have a dumpster and find a way to distribute the rewards of being the dumpster owner to their people in the dumpster. So if it catches, that would be cool. We'll see. But
comment in the Discord, by the way. Faded Clayno is snapshot at 14 soul, but rage buying at 24 after snapshot. Any such cases, dude? It's just how it's going to go for now. It's beautiful, dude. It's beautiful what you guys have done. So
it's worth doing. We haven't taken the snapshot yet for the Hibu token allocations.
Okay.
Little.
That's not alpha. That's out there. Even if you go, I think it's allocations. Is it allocation.clayno.com or allocation.hibu.com? The allocation website has a grayed out button for like the Hibu allocations.
It's allocation. Let me just make sure. Yeah, allocation.claynosaurz.com.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There it is.
Also, Pat Nutt said, or DeFameless, fellow Canadian, said, Micros, that's a soul community. They did that. They bought a dumpster and their community staked in it, which is kind of
that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
We're gonna have to find out big Clayno energy. Like if that must be someone.
You're gonna have to hit me up, Henry, because like we'll put you in touch with like more people on the Solana side. It's a super tight knit community,
bro. Put us in touch. I'm happy. Like we. We're not here to try to pilfer Solana communities for their members. We're literally just like, we built this thing. It's fun. We're enjoying. We've been in the trenches on Solana since the trenches on Solana existed. Like Kongs are not new to Solana.
I didn't know that.
Oh, bro, Kongs have. Like I know multiple people that have changed their life because of the trenches on Solana.
It's been wild. It's insane.
We were trenching on ETH before the Solana trenches were trenches. And when Solana became the place to trench, we have a whole channel in our Discord, which is, we call it the shitcoin channel. And it's literally people in the trenches. We've been buying NFTs on Sol. Kongs have been supporters of Solana. We're new to having a collection there, but we're not new. Like, we didn't have to go out and get our wallets. Everybody already was, part of Sol. So it's been, and dude, for all the chains we've gone to, we've been on Polygon, we've been on Ronin, we went to Bitcoin. Like, Solana is like, I don't know if it's just the timing of everything and how the space has changed, but I'm like, man, Solana has a lot of shit really in common with our brand and our community. So it's been a fun thing to be a part of.
Man. Oh man, that's wicked. That's I didn't know about that lore that you guys have. It's fucking awesome.
DGens, bro.
And in any case, welcome to the family.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll talk in DMs. I'll just
that'd be great.
Or your way.
Yeah, that'd be great, bro. No, you guys have been like amazing for coming on when you're as busy as you are, for staying as long as you have. I mean, shit, dude. Can't ask for much more than that.
It's been awesome. I'm so fucking happy Andrew came, because when you guys went down the rabbit hole, I would have not been equipped. So, but man, what a great conversation, guys. And seriously, like, thanks for the love and support. And that's all we can ask for, really, is like, I just want people in the space to talk about what we're doing. You want to buy the collectibles, buy them, but above everything, fucking, celebrate the things we're trying to do and just talk about us. That's number one.
Yeah,
we'll be shouting about it for sure. Thank you guys again, dude. This was phenomenal. Open door to come back anytime too.
The Kongs, like, in Discord during the show, have been like, bro, they're excited about what you're doing. There's a lot of talk of Kongs looking at Claynosaurz, and somebody wanted me to mention, like, yeah, dude, we built a Solana trading bot for Discord for trading tokens. So, like, yeah, the point is, like, we're not new. We're new with a collection, but we've been taking part in the Solana ecosystem for years. So awesome. Proud to be over there with you guys.
Hell yeah.
There we go. Guys, make sure you follow Claynosaurz on X. I mean, geez, you have to if you're in this game. You have to. They're doing incredible stuff. Guys, thank you again for joining. We'll see you next week. Oh, follow CyberKongs on X as well. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
See you, dudes.